And one of the problems with co-parenting with a narcissist is that you fall victim to some of the things that they've said. You fall victim to some of the guilt tripping, to some of the criticism that happens throughout the relationship. And so even though you guys aren't together anymore, you find yourself doing things, trying to prove yourself to them, understanding that you will never, ever, ever please them. You couldn't please them while the two of you guys were together. So here's what happens. So you've heard me talk about quite often that you have to be present with your feelings. You have to be present with your emotions. One of the reasons why it's so important for you to do this is because you have to begin to separate the conditioning that they did towards you versus what your true feelings actually are, right? And this is a process. This is a long process, but I'm going to break it down for you. So one of the ways that you can find out if you are doing something because you actually want to do it, or if you're trying to prove something to them, the narcissist used a tactic called the fog method, right? And a great majority of, if not all, of their manipulation comes from fear, obligation, and guilt. If you are feeling those three things, if you're doing something because you are afraid of what someone else is going to say or think, if you are feeling obligated because, well, you're the mother, well, you're the father, you're this, right? You're obligated to do this. Or you are feeling like, if I don't do this, I'm going to feel guilty for not doing this. Or someone makes you feel guilty by shaming you. Right? I can't believe what kind of mother are you? What kind of father are you to not even do XYZ, for you to say this to me, for you to talk to me this way, right? Whenever you feel those three things, fear, obligation, and guilt, don't do it. Here's the thing. When you feel those things, and the reason why I say don't do it, and immediately when I tell people that, people say, but then I'm going to feel guilty. Then I'm afraid that this and they start going into, that's what you actually have to address. You don't have to address the narcissist. You have to address the actual emotion that you're feeling, the fear, the thoughts of obligation, and the guilty feeling. Sit with those things, and then and begin a talk track. You separate your thoughts versus the guilt and the criticism the judgment that's been placed on you. And once you separate that, yes, they're going to say stuff, right? But then when the guilt, the shame, the fear, the obligation that you do feel, you address that. You don't address the narcissist. The other part to this is that you have to, I know I keep saying this, but it is so important. And I think people take it for granted. If you have children with them, low contact, which means like very extreme minimum. Low contact if you have kids, and if you don't have kids with this person, it is no contact. You have to understand that this is the very first boundary that you probably have set with a narcissist ever. If you've been with them for 10 plus years or whatever, you may not have ever set a boundary with them, and this might be the first time that you ever have. And by doing so, and without their voice in your ear constantly, right, you can begin to heal the traumatic effects that have happened. And what happens is that the thoughts that they've placed into your brain, all of the criticism and everything begins to break up. It begins to dissipate, right? You guys have heard me talk about before how this is very comparable to heroin addiction, right? And so you're going to be able to kind of go through your withdrawal period and begin to separate your thought from their thought.